In our industry, like there's people who are getting paid, $200, $300, $400 a day who are really talented. And there's people who are getting paid $30,000 a day. And there's people, there's this whole range, and depending on the kind of work you're doing and your skill set and your industry. And one of the critical mistakes creative people make is thinking that money is related to competence, and that it's actually far more correlated to confidence. And that the
Yes.
confident person is the
1000%.
person who gets paid. It's not the competent person. And I think
100% agree.
for me, early on in my career, I was so worried about being competent and getting better and better and better and waiting for the money to show up. And then the money doesn't show up and you keep getting taken advantage of and whatever else. And you start to realize like, oh, and then you start seeing other people who you might go like, my work is better than that, and they're getting paid a ton of money, or they're doing really well, they're really busy, their clients respect them, they have whatever else. And so much of that has more to do with confidence, your perception of yourself, your willingness to perceive opportunity, to say no and walk away from things, changes your reality a lot faster than getting like 5% better at lighting does.
So, question though,
Yeah.
I agree, but in a journey, like how would you recommend that transition happen? Because to me, like a bunch of confidence at the beginning when you really don't have the skill set, even though I do agree with that statement that you just said, is kind of a fool's errand. Like you got to get into that confidence over time, I think.
Right.
So how do you transition?
I think you can always have the confidence, honestly. I think that you can practice having that conversation relatively early on in your career. I think the dollar values just change. Like, I
I get what
remember
you're saying.
getting called to do like graphic design projects when I was 16, and people being like, hey, can you make us a poster for $50 or whatever? And I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it's like, if you're working for $50, if you're second shooting weddings for $100, like whatever you may be doing, I think that to practice that skill of saying, this is what I need, or to practice like holding some degree of your own in a negotiation. And there are situations where someone's going to come in and you're going to get a project or a client or whatever else. And the right move may be to just sort of lay down and take whatever's given to you, because that is the most valuable thing. But I think to practice, even at those early levels, how to say, this is what I need, these are the limitations. Even I got a call from a director a while ago, and it was a real breath of fresh air, because he was like, I want to make sure that we are like compensating you for pre-production time, and talking about like how many hours are expected out of that and stuff. And like, that was something that I just thought no one talked about. Like my understanding was like DPs get paid for days on set, and everything else you just do. It's like, that's part of why we get paid more than other people. Yeah. Whether it's pre-pro, making decks, pulling references. And so to start meeting other people who are like, oh no, you can get paid for that. Like maybe your rates are lower or higher, but like you can still have that conversation, and practicing having that conversation is a skill that's really valuable no matter what part of your career you're in.